The evidence is really starting to mount that South Korean authorities may have played a darker role than we even had imagined in luring North Korean restaurant staff from their position in China with the promise of living a new life in Southeast Asia. The reality, well, the claim goes that there was blackmail and they were forced to enter the South. Now, if that's the sort of thing that North Korea would just simply accuse Seoul of orchestrating, or at least sound that way, that's because the North did allege the South abducted these workers in 2016. It seemed improbable to most people then, but recent domestic scandals and the arrival of a new administration in the South last year have cast new light on all sorts of issues here, including the activities of past Park Geun-hye administration and military intelligence officials. An informed source tells us the Defense Intelligence Command led the operation to lure 12 North Korean waitresses working in the Chinese province of Zhejiang. They defected to the South along with their manager in April 2016, reportedly via Shanghai and then Kuala Lumpur. You may recall some of this as the story gained an unusual level of attention, with the claim being that even supposedly loyal North Korean subjects, those who've been allowed to work abroad, were defecting. But among the thousands of defectors to have been allowed to enter South Korea, Seoul seemed to draw attention to this group with the official release of the news just days ahead of a general election. Suspicions have snowballed after what seemed like Pyongyang's absurd initial claim of foul play. For example, this past weekend, the restaurant manager in question told us that South Korean intelligence agents had tried to persuade him to defect, saying he'd be able to open an establishment in a Southeast Asian nation, but the agency didn't make good on the promise and he was allegedly blackmailed. Earlier this month, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in North Korea called for a thorough and independent investigation after he met with some of the defectors. And it seems like that is the logical next step in this story, an independent probe of some kind, and we can also only hope that it doesn't do too much to damage ongoing efforts to improve inter-Korean ties, a reality now that seemed so far away in 2016 when this story broke, and also that this doesn't do too much to damage the credibility of North Korean refugees' stories of human rights abuses in the North, the sort of stories that don't need to be cooked up by the South or by anyone, anywhere.